In late June of 2026, an update of Elite Dangerous came out. This update devastated the fragile balance in exploration ship builds. Now, there is only one ship worth using for explorers. For a sandbox game in which people manifest their agency through unique ship builds, this is catastrophic. So, what happened? On June 28, Frontier Development released a patch that included a shuttle called Nomad. This is a very small ship that you can launch from the special hangar of your vessel. The Nomad has no FSD. Its only intended purpose is to get you to the planets, land there, and do all the research activities you need. Based on the things I read on Reddit and on Steam, it seems that the community is generally quite happy with the Nomad, and I can understand why. We all, people who love this game, wanted to receive updates, and especially the module updates that seem to bring in more diversity to ship builds. But there is another, darker side to this update and to the Nomad shuttle. If you look at the history of exploration in Elite Dangerous, after Odyssey DLC came out, you will see that there was a kind of balance between two types of exploration ships. There are smaller ships that are more maneuverable and easier to land on uneven terrain, and on the other hand, there are larger ships that have greater jump range. There were also medium-sized ships that were decent in both landing and in exobiology, and they were also decent in jumping, but they weren't the best in any aspect of exploration. When people built their exploration ships, they were always making a choice. What do you want more? You want a more comfortable experience while landing for exobiology, or you want to be able to get to your desired locations faster with greater jump range. This duality of builds made many ships viable, from my beloved Delphine to Great Phantom, from Diamondback Explorer to Anaconda. But now things have changed. Nomad Shuttle makes every small explorer ship obsolete. With Nomad Shuttle, it does not matter if your ship is small enough to land in mountains to scan some mushrooms. Nomad is smaller than every ship in the game. You can just launch it from your super large explorer and then use the shuttle to scan everything you need and then to return to your large vessel with its incredible jump range. After the Nomad update, you do not need a small exploration ship for anything. Guys, there are 46 types of ships in Elite Dangerous. Out of this 46, at least, I guess 15 were great, optimal, or kind of optimal for exploration. As you can see, all of us had an amazing diversity of ships to choose from. Now, the entire system of building an exploration ship gets streamlined. Now, there are only two things that matter for an explorer: jump range and the ability to carry the Nomad shuttle. Now, the only reason to use ships like Dolphin is to save money in the early game. But, the situation in the game is now even worse than that. Not only the small ships completely lose their place in the game of exploration, the developers allowed to install the Nomad hangar only on a handful of ships. Ships that are capable to carry hangars and fighters. Out of 16 ships that are capable of installing a hangar with the Nomad, only Anaconda, Caspian Explorer, Crate Mark II, Type 11 Prospector, and maybe Beluga Liner and Keelback have the potential to be good explorers. Other ships in this list won't ever need to carry the Nomad on board, because they have limited potential as explorers anyway. And honestly, it's kind of hilarious imagining a keelback with an exploration shuttle. It's quite small already, so you probably don't need an exploration shuttle for a keelback, but okay, let's imagine that keelback will somehow become a better explorer with a Nomad inside. Anyway, this limitation makes sense from the engineering perspective. It's okay to only allow a shuttle on ships that have the capability to carry hangars, but it does even more harm to balance. Every medium and large-sized ship without an access to Nomad shuttle is now a bad exploration option. For example, ships like Corsair or one of my most beloved ships of all time, the Orca, are now much worse as an option for explorers. Now, let's discuss the lucky ones, the exploration ships that got Nomad as an option. Let's look at Anaconda, Crate, Type 11, and Beluga. What do they have in common as explorers? Before the Nomad update, all of them had the same downside as the Caspian Explorer. All of them are very hard to land in tricky spots. But in everything, and I mean everything else in exploration, these ships are completely outclassed by Caspian Explorer. Before the Nomad update, Caspian Explorer already had a perfect compatibility with supercharged supercruise. It had the greatest jump range in the game and the ability to jump even further with neutron stars. It was already a very, very powerful option before the Nomad patch. It has only one downside, the inability to land it for exobiology. Well, and its another downside is a fact that Caspian Explorer looks like space pancake with nipples, and it does not look like a ship from Elite Dangerous, but really it looks like something from Star Trek. And what do the developers do with this clearly already very powerful vessel? Right, they make it even more powerful. They give it a Nomad shuttle, removing this ship's only downside. Mark my words, my dear viewer, in a year or two we will have the entirety of this game's servers filled with the same builds of Caspian Explorer, filled with the same modules. A cynical person might go even further than me here and claim that all current design decisions by Frontier Development are dictated by the need to monetize every patch. Like, it is possible to claim that Frontier is systematically breaking the balance of the game in favor of the new ships to sell more of them for ARX. And I would agree with that if I did not knew one little thingy. You see, shortly before adding Caspian Explorer into the game, Frontier added another high-end exploration ship that they sold for ARX. Oh yeah, the Mandalay. You wanna know what happened to that ship because of the introduction of Nomad shuttle? Now, Mandalay is completely eclipsed by Caspian Explorer. Mandalay's main advantage over Caspian was that it was smaller in size and it had the ability to land in more locations. And did Mandalay get access to Nomad? No. So its advantage is, like, completely negated by the Nomad. Like, can you imagine what people who paid real money for Mandalay feel right now? I think that they feel deceived. The whole point of having a lot of spaceships in a game about spaceships is, to have a choice. As far as I know, there is no one single meta ship for combat. There is no combat ship to rule them all. You have Corsair, you have Mamba, you have Python Mark II, you have Panther Clipper and Federal Corvettes, you have Anaconda, and all of these ships can be good vessels for combat. And what do we have in exploration, now that Nomad broke the balance? Yeah, we have Caspian Explorer and we have anything else. It is possible that you will try to object to my arguments. You might say, hey, Caspian Explorer is very expensive in comparison to other ships. Surely Caspian must be better than all other explorers. And I have two counter arguments. First, money aren't really a limitation in Elite Dangerous when it comes to buying individual ships. Credits are quite easy to farm, and they aren't a serious limitation for most players. Elite Dangerous as a game has been around for 12 years, and most people who still play it are playing it for years, and yes, even me, and I'm still a noob. Second, and my second counter argument, is that Caspian was already stronger than all other ships in most exploration-related characteristics. There is no reason to make it even stronger. And what is the most shocking for me? The Nomad shuttle completely trivializes the hardcore side of the exploration experience. If you've ever been on a long-range space exploration expedition in Elite, you know what made the trips interesting. Even when you were bored by doing the same exobiological scans over and over, you always knew that the stakes are very high. You knew if you make a wrong move while landing your ship and crash it into the ground, you die. And if you die, you lose the entirety of data you gathered in space. With Nomad, however, all the risk is completely eliminated from exploration. If you crash a Nomad into the ground, you will not die. You will just respawn on your ship without any data loss. Imagine how hard it will hit the immersion of those going on long-range exploration trips. It will completely annihilate the need to stay cautious and attentive as you fly. For those using the Nomad, it will be completely impossible to experience what I experienced during my 2-year trip. You can see it on my channel if you are unfamiliar. This means no strong emotions about your exploration experience. This means no fear of losing everything you discovered over the long months of flying, and this means no nightmares in the real world about crashing your vessel into a rock. But, you know, I still want to preserve the risks of exploration experience, and I still want to fly the ships that I like, and not the ships that are meta. And for this reason, in my future exploration videos, I will ignore Caspian Explorer, and in the future, I will build the most unreasonable exploration builds ever, just because I can. And I will get back to you with more stories about my exploration travels. I will see you soon, here in the Videological Dungeon.